The government registers the arrival of more than 181,000 people, including women and children, mostly from the Donbas region. In the context of Kiev's attacks on these areas, our colleague Odette Diaz brings us more information.
Greetings, colleagues. Thanks for the contact. The National Center of Defense Management of Russia informed that a total of 181,500 people arrived to Russia from Ukraine till today. Of them, 162,500 residents of the rebel region of Donbas, whose evacuation began on February 18th. According to the security authorities of the country, the remaining 20,000 refugees are from other regions of Ukraine and were evacuated across the border bridges of the Russian regions of Belgorod, Bryansk, Rostov, and Crimea. The agency reported that among those evacuated to Russia, there are about 48,000 children as well as more than 12,000 foreigners. For its part, the Ministry of Defense of Russia condemned the impossibility on the part of the authorities and the Ukrainian nationalists to carry out successfully the evacuations of the civilians through the humanitarian corridors coordinated since last Saturday. Likewise, the military organization also denounced the international community's inattention, pointing out that neither the United Nations nor the Organizations for Security and Cooperation in Europe, as well as other world organizations, have made an adequate assessment of what is happening in Ukraine. In this regard, they appealed to the international community to actively participate in the efforts to force the Kiev regime to respect the norms of humane treatment of the civilian population, to neutralize the consequences of the humanitarian catastrophe practically all over Ukraine, and to immediately introduce humanitarian corridors. In this sense, Russian President Vladimir Putin today described as terrorist the actions of the Ukrainian nationalists using the civilian population as shield. In a telephone conversation with the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, the head of the state referred to the humanitarian aspects of the current situation and stressed that the Russian army is taking all possible measures to save the lives of civilians. Putin noted that Russian armed forces several times declared a ceasefire regime for the evacuation of women, elderly, children, and people who are not connected with the hostilities along the humanitarian corridors. However, the Ukrainian nationalist battalions prevented escalating violence against civilians and various kinds of provocations. The President of Russia urged the European Union to make a real contribution to save people's lives, to put pressure on the Kiev authorities, and to force them to respect humanitarian law. So far, some details of this situation now. We go back to the studio.